Hi, I'm Bart Hanson, the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description.
Hey,
Hello.
Bart, my name's Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Hi. So anyways, I have an Ocean's hand for you at 2-3.
Okay, Ocean's 11?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Um, so I have ace-8 of diamonds, and I am on the button.
Okay.
And there's two villains. V1 is middle-aged guy. He's got about 800. V2 is middle position, young guy. He has about 1,000. I have both of them covered. I have about 1,600.
Okay.
And so we were doing a mandatory straddle. And so villain one was the straddle. Can I say that?
So this is a straddle under the gun, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he straddled for 6.
Yep.
V2, the young guy, calls.
Okay. He limps in.
Yep. Folds around to me, and I decided to just call. Reason being is that the V2, I've seen him before multiple times do his little limp and then re-raise thing. I didn't want that, so I just call.
Mm-hmm.
Small blind folds, and the big blind calls.
So, I mean, I think it's probably pretty close. Like the straddle pots in small stakes games are kind of interesting because the pots get large and people don't play it like it's 2-3-6, right? But people aren't going to get $600 in as if they're getting 100 blinds in like a single raise pot. The ranges are just so much tighter. And a lot of people, especially when they come from online, they can't understand that simple concept that a guy with $600 is not getting in what he thinks is 100 blinds at 2-3-6. With one limper, I would tend to ISO raise. With two limpers, I would say I would, over limp or raise. What was the deal with the limper?
So he's the one who I was most scared of in this hand because I played with him before, and I know that he likes to limp with like ace, king, aces, kings.
Okay, so you think that he might actually be playing a limp re-raise. So that's a reason why you might take an unorthodox over
Yeah,
limp. I get it. Okay, so the big blind calls the straddle checks, right?
yeah.
Okay, so we go to the flop.
And the flop is ace of clubs,
Yep.
8-9 of hearts.
Ace of clubs, 8 of hearts, 9 of hearts. Okay, so you've got top and bottom pair here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it goes check, check all around to me, and
Mm-hmm.
I bet 20.
20 into about 30, right? It's 5 ways. Is that right? One, two, yeah.
Well,
4 ways.
yeah, with the drop, that was slightly under the pot. I mean, the pot's probably like 25 or something.
Okay.
And so both villains call, and so now we're 3-way to the turn, and the turn is the king of clubs.
So the straddle calls and V2 overcalls. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's really bizarre just right away. I mean, it's always
I know.
it's always odd. I always talk about when somebody from your right calls because I mean, this is a little bit different because he overcalled, but like, if you bet last to act into like 4 or 5 people and then it gets folded back around to the guy to your right who calls, it's just always strange to me because usually a hand that's strong enough to call would be bet second to would be strong enough to bet, right? For fold equity, second hand to last to act. And I mean, I can see the straddle maybe like checking a weak ace here because he's not last to act, but I think that when the pot is actually even a little bit bloated because of the straddle, the guy to your right really should be betting a weak ace there. I mean, there's no raise pre-flop, so he could have a straight draw type of hand like Queen Jack that he didn't think was strong enough to bet, and now he thinks he's getting like the odds. You know what I mean? Like a gut shot, some type of hand like that, or the bottom end of an open ender like 6-7 or something like that. I would think that he would bet hearts on the flop, but anyways, so you bet 20 and both of them call, and now the pot's over $80.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so and I was thinking, my thought was, I put him in my head. It seemed like 10 Jack was likely or something like that. I agreed with you on that. Like
Mm-hmm.
he has maybe not a flush draw, but anyway. So the turn's the king of clubs. So now we have ace of clubs, king of clubs, and eight nine of hearts.
So two clubs out there now.
hmm
Yep.
Now V1 leads. He bets 50,
You weren't the
and
guy. You weren't the
V2.
guy that contacted me on Slack about a donk lead on the turn, were you? When you asked a
No,
question. Okay.
no,
Okay. So now V1 leads for 50.
yeah,
Okay.
and V2 calls.
And V2 calls. I mean, I can't really imagine how V1 is in the straddle. I'm just, making sure that that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how you don't have the best hand here.
Exactly
I
that.
would be
Yeah, I
raising the
agree.
turn. I would be raising the turn. I
Yeah.
mean, he could have a hand like King Nine. Maybe he picked up hearts with the king. He had a heart draw with the king. Or now he has like 9, 10 of clubs and he's just betting. But how do you not have the best hand here? I mean, I guess occasionally one in a million times, less than that, but he somehow shows up with pocket
Yeah.
nines. I mean, you block an eight, so that's less likely, but to
hmm
check call a set, not raise out of the straddle, and then play a check call lead is just really bizarre. So
And
I,
like
I
I said too, I know in the back of my mind I've seen V2, limp with good hands for the reason of re-raising, which is part of why I didn't raise pre-flop anyways.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I raise it to 175,
Okay.
and both of them call.
So the pot now, let me see here. The pot now is you just put in 525, right? 350, 525, and there was about eight. So it's about 600, right?
hmm
Okay. So they both call. So I think that that's good, like just in the sense that I think that we know that we have the best hand here. And to be perfectly
I
honest with you,
agree.
like to be perfectly honest with you, I don't care how deep. I mean, you're 1,000 effective. I know that's deep, but it's a straddled pot. If you raise the turn here, and let's say that like V1 came back over the top out of the straddle for a three bet, I would get it in. That's how confident I am that I have the best hand. There's just like
Yeah.
I think it's like he's got a pair and a flush draw. There's just no way that you can't have that you cannot have the best hand here on the turn. But in the action confirms that. So now we lead to the river.
And it's the queen of diamonds.
All right, so the river is the queen of diamonds. So obviously the jack 10 now comes in. It would be sort of bizarre that V1 would take that line with jack 10. I guess he could have jack 10 of clubs. I just don't know
hmm
why. And the reason why I don't think he's got jack 10 of hearts there is that if he check calls the flop with the 15 out draw, he's going to just suddenly lead into the turn when it doesn't change anything. That doesn't make a whole lot of
Right.
sense. So it's like jack 10 of clubs. It could be jack 10 of clubs.
Mhm.
And then, of course, the guy in the middle can also have jack 10. So what happened? River's a queen.
So V1 checks, but he checks slowly. He
Mm-hmm.
he took a while,
Mm-hmm.
took a minute or two to check.
Yeah.
And then V2 leads out now for 300.
300 into about 600, right?
It's about half pot, yeah.
Do we know anything
And
about
man,
do we know anything about this guy? V2?
like I said, I mean he's a young guy. He's definitely like plays online. He's like that kind of classic. He thinks he's a trickster. You can get him when you try to make him overplay hands and try to bluff at you, and he does stuff like that. But yet because I put him on 10 Jack and I was thinking that, and I was just thinking, no heart, no club, no like face card, um, was good. So now I go into the tank and
Well, here's my thinking here
I,
too. My thinking here
mm,
too is, I mean, a lot of times people just the pattern that I've seen from callers is people will call in these hands where they'll fold and they'll be shown some ridiculous bluff, but I would fold in your spot too. I don't know if you folded, but I would fold. You're
I
getting.
okay, well,
Let me just give you
yeah.
my thoughts.
So
The reason why
sure, yeah.
I would fold though is because this is a spot where it's not like you just bet and got called twice. You raised. you bet the flop and you raise the turn. When it went bet call, you raise the turn, and then it went call call. Like this guy can never expect that you're gonna fold a hand on the river. Do you see what I'm saying? Like for 300, it would be an
Exactly.
absurd bluff. It would be a really
And I've
really
been
dumb
showing
bluff.
up. I had been showing up with hands against this guy, like in general. Like I've been. So anyway, so I go in the tank for not even that long, maybe like a few minutes. And
Hmm.
after a few minutes, V1 calls time.
Okay,
Uh,
V1 calls
and
time.
I
Okay,
thought it, yeah, and
yeah.
I was just a little bit put off by that. And maybe just really quick too. I sometimes when I mean this I rarely get time called on me, but when I do, and when this in this particular spot, it really threw me for a loop. Just like man, I didn't feel like I was taking that long. I had just taken a couple minutes. But now time's called, so then the floor comes over, and he starts counting it down, and I mean, when I look back on it, I think I I mean, it was difficult to really just like calm down and think about the hand,
Hmm.
um, in that moment. Uh,
I
and
mean, I
so,
would say that I mean, time isn't really called on me all that often, and I don't
hmm
think it's out of line, but it's probably out of line if like I mean, if you're playing a 2-3 game and the bet's 300 into a $600, so the pot's 1,000, that's a really big pot in a 2-3 game. And if you're
it
taking
is.
like 2 or 3 minutes, I don't know why.
I
Yeah, I mean,
agree,
I think it's
and
probably a little bit out of
he's
line, like in relative, relative to like the bet size at the end and the pot size. Now, I've seen people take inordinate amount of time where it's just absurd, or they're taking time every single hand, or
yeah, I've done to that.
lastly,
Yeah.
there's some douchebag that's on the table that's taking time every single hand, and now that affects this hand. I see that sometimes too, where I don't think anyone's at
hmm
fault. There's two guys like that at Commerce that are just the absolute worst. Thank God they haven't been playing all that much, but yeah, it's unfortunate and it might wrangle you. It might disrupt your thinking. What did you do? What ended up happening?
I let time expire, and
Mm-hmm.
so I mucked my hand,
Yeah.
and uh, and then V1 instant folds. So he just wanted to get out of the hand, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and then V2 flipped over Queen Jack of clubs
Queen Jack
as he
of
raked the pot.
clubs. Yeah, I mean, obviously I mean, obviously he turned his hand into a bluff, but I mean, I
hmm
don't know if I can give a guy credit at 2-3 for like no understanding blockers or anything bullshit like that. I mean, just in itself, I'm looking this at like in a straddled pot, like I'm going to be opening Queen Jack of clubs from under the gun one there, like almost always. So the limp itself seems bad to me. I mean, it's not
It's
terrible. It's not like
yeah.
limping with Jack 8 off, but I just don't think you're going to be good there. I mean, you're getting 3-1. You're not going to be good there 1 out of 4 times. This is like Trump winning the presidency, right? Like he
Okay.
like he was like whatever. I mean, what did 930 what did 538 say? Like he was 19% or
hmm
18% or something like that. Well, okay, he's 18 or 19%. You're not going to lay 3-1, then he's going to win. You would need more than that, right? But he won. Well, that's how odds go. And I think that that's what the scenario would be here, too. You're not good here 1 out of 4 times, but you are going to
Yeah.
lose. I mean, excuse me. Yeah, you're not good here 1 out of 4 times, but you are going to be good maybe 1 out of 10 times, 1 out of 8 times, whatever it is. And this was the
When
time that you were good.
yeah, it's nice to hear you say that. This happened like about a week and a half ago, and I took notes. I'm like, I'm gonna call Bart about this hand.
Yeah,
Um, but I've been, thinking about it, and I've been convincing myself that I should have called. But I think you're right. I think it was all right to fold.
I don't think so.
So,
Thanks for the call, buddy. That was an interesting one. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA100. Click on the link right there.